Yes, what's going on, team? My name's Kai, and this is the Insta360 X5. Now, I've been testing this little bad boy for the past couple of months through runs, hikes, and some low-light shooting tests, and I've got quite a lot to say about it. So if you're wondering whether to upgrade from the Insta360 X3 or X4, or maybe you're tempted by DJI's Osmo 360, or even holding out for the upcoming GoPro Max 2, then this is the video for you. Now, I'm not going to go into a massive deep dive on the tech and specs. I will go over the basics, but the most important thing about this video is that I want you to see how I've used this and the kind of things that I use this for, the things that I enjoy using it for, the things that I don't enjoy using it for, because I think that's going to be the vast majority of people who buy this thing. So the X5 keeps Insta360's iconic modular feel, or iconic depending on which way you look at it, but you'll notice right away that it's sleeker and more rugged than the X3 and the X4. The grip has improved. It's sort of got this kind of crystalline style beveling going on at the back, which is supposed to help with the heat dissipation. The lens guards are tighter and replaceable, and the build quality just feels premium, like it was made to take a bit of a beating on the move. Now, it should be said that the replaceable lens guards don't come as standard, and this is a pretty pricey thing anyway. Just buying the standalone kit comes in at £520 here in the UK. That's a lot of money when you're then suddenly between that £500 and £1,000 range, as opposed to the sort of £200, £300, £400 mark. And to be honest, I would have liked to have seen some replaceable lens guards just in the standalone pack for that. You've got to get the Essentials pack, which comes in at over £600 just to get those replaceable lens guards. And look, let me tell you, you're gonna need them, because unlike with a GoPro or a more traditional action camera, I mean, look at the form factor of these things. They're gonna get damaged. It's gonna happen. It doesn't matter how much you babysit this thing. As soon as you take it outside, the chances of you scraping one of these lenses is about 300 million billion%. Now, even though it's physically a bit larger than the Insta360 X4, the weight distribution actually makes it surprisingly pocketable, especially for a camera doing as much as it does. Now, I should say at this point, I don't own the X4, I own the X3 and the X5, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that jump, and I'll just get it out the way straight away. I think if you're an X3 owner who didn't get the X4, then the X5 makes a hell of a lot of sense in terms of that upgrade. It is a huge upgrade from X3 to X5. Now, this kind of cheap sort of neoprene official Insta360 case comes with the X5, and I think that's quite important because in terms of pocketability, you really can just tuck it in to its case, zip this up, whack this in a bag or a pocket, and at least you feel safe with the fact that the lens are protected whilst they're in this case. Just don't get any like dust or dirt or grit or pebbles or like missiles or anything trapped in the case with the camera. So let's have a look at some of the specs related to the Insta360 X5, and here's what we're looking at. So it's got 1-inch sensors, but with way better low light performance on the X5, and we're gonna get into that in a second. Now, in terms of resolution, you get 8K 360 video at 30 FPS, which is a massive step up from the X3's 5.7K and the X4's 8K at 24 FPS. Now, I hear you saying, is there really that big a jump from 24 FPS and 30 FPS? And the answer is yes. Just in terms of how it looks, you get a smoother look basically at 30 FPS, even if 24 FPS can arguably look a little bit more cinematic. In terms of stabilization, listen, action cameras have stabilization down to a fine art, and the flow state stabilization in the Insta360 X5 is now handled in camera, so it gives it even more precision. You get a decent battery in the Insta360 X5. I was very impressed with the battery life on this. I really thought that this was going to die out on me at 8K 30, but it's actually a really decent battery in this. Again, big improvement over the X3s. And the touchscreen on this thing is fantastic. It really is. You get a really big display, and that's super useful, especially if you're filming for YouTube Shorts or TikTok in that 9:16 ratio, because you get this lovely long screen, this large screen. It's so easy to do your playback, your reframing, all that kind of thing. You can easily see what the camera is seeing with that touchscreen. Okay, let's talk real world, because I don't want to go into this whole like, here's me jumping off a cliff, here's footage of someone going through a waterfall, because I don't jump off that many cliffs and I don't dive off that many waterfalls, and neither do you. So I want to make sure that the footage that I've recorded for you is some fairly standard conventional stuff, some cityscape vlogging style footage. We've got some running and hiking footage with me and Boo. There's some footage that I've taken that I've actually already uploaded to another YouTube video that's of me and my friend Josh at a video gaming expo event thing. And then some low light footage where I thought I'd go out at nighttime, 10:30 at night, and you could see how well this thing performs when the lights are low. Here are the biggest takeaways then. In daylight, unreal sharpness. The 8K resolution actually makes a massive difference when reframing for social use. So there's less artifacting, more detail. Obviously with that resolution, you can zoom in, you can crop that a little bit more. It's pretty damn awesome. The stabilization is incredible, as you'll see. Even during some bumpy trail runs, the footage was buttery smooth, way smoother than with the X3. And honestly, like I say, stabilization in these kind of cameras has been spot on for a while, but it just seems to get better and better, even if those increments in those improvements are fairly small. Now, in terms of low light, this has got to be one of the massive selling points of the X5, because honestly, it's the best low light 360 camera I've ever used. The grain is minimal, the shadows hold detail, and the color tones are accurate without oversaturation. And in terms of that graining, by the way, you even get an option now within the Insta360 app or the desktop application to remove that grain, and it will do it within the app rather than you having to tinker with it in other third-party softwares. Genuinely, I expected it to perform well, but the dynamic range when that light is low really surprised me. Now, it's worth saying there are street lights here, but I'm about to go. I'm going to stand underneath this tree because I'm going to be completely in shadow. So let's have a look here. I mean, this is still crazy impressive. There is no light on me right now. I'm gonna just turn the camera around so you can see what I can see. Like, there's no light spillage here, and yet you can still see my face. That's actually mighty impressive. I mean, even here, guys, you'd think that this was daylight, whereas that's just spill from a street lamp across the road. And now I'm gonna walk between being lit by a street lamp and complete darkness. But I think this is mighty impressive for 10:30 at night. I think it's mighty impressive. You could not do this, or at least I could not do this on my Insta360 X3. And I've got to say it, even if you don't feel like you have any plans to film at night, there are almost certainly going to be times where it would be nice if you could film in a low light environment. And I think it's sort of the X5's killer feature. I really do. So how does it stack up against what else is already out there? Now, as I've already mentioned, you've got the Insta360 X3, which is great for casual creators, but it's showing its age now. It's got lower res, it's really weak in low light, don't bother. And you've got no 8K, it's 5.7K max. You've then got the Insta360 X4, which is still solid, it's only a year old, but if you want serious quality with less post-processing, then the X5 is genuinely leagues ahead still. And then of course you've got the Insta360 X4, it's still solid and it's only a year old, but if you want that serious quality with less effort with your post-processing, then genuinely the X5 is leagues ahead. Then of course we've got the successor to the granddaddy in this space, the GoPro Max 2. Now we've wondered when this is going to come out, and this has been teased for so long, and I feel like GoPro have to knock this one out the park. They're on the back foot in terms of their entire range, and what they've teased so far looks exciting, but we don't have a release date. We don't really have a solid specs list, so it's hard really to recommend waiting for that over something that exists now and is genuinely pretty damn good. Now the Insta360 Insta360 app continues, in my opinion, to be the best in class. You've got intuitive keyframing, you've got awesome subject tracking, you've got shot lab templates, and now you've got AI-driven reframing tools. And I'm gonna come on to that a bit more in a minute, because I think that that is a massive, massive breakthrough in terms of the efficiency of using a camera like this and the pure enjoyment that you're gonna get from not only making the videos, but also editing and doing all your post-production. I think if you're a solo content creator, then the app alone is worth it. It really does. It feels like cheating with how easy it is to get polished, pro-level footage out of this bad boy. All right, let's come to some of my snap downsides, and then I'm gonna get into a real talk section that I feel like is really based on my personal experience. So, all right, look, nothing's perfect, and here is what's kind of bugged me with the X5. We're gonna go, number one, the price. All right, this isn't cheap. Now, if you're not pushing 360 content regularly, then the X4 might be more bang for your buck, because like I said, this thing comes at over £500, bucks, euros, and that's just for the standalone. If you're then looking for the essentials bundle, and that comes with the replaceable lens covers, which you need, don't not buy those, you're gonna need those, then that's over 600. And then if you're looking for like a cycling bundle or a motorcycling bundle, listen, you're looking at spending around 700, 800 pounds once you've topped out your extra batteries and your selfie stick and your SD card. It's all gonna add up. And listen, it's a lot of money. Number two, and I'm gonna get into this in my real talk section, overheating. Now in 8K, this gets hot, and I had this shut off more than a few times. I'm going to get into that shortly. Stitching lines. Now, these are still visible sometimes, especially in low light or fast motion. Definitely less noticeable than with the X3, but it's still present, and you'll have seen it in the train footage that I've put up, and it's definitely present in the video game expo footage, and it's a little bit disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, again, linked to the price. You know, you buy something where you're spending at least £520 and you're expecting to get a pretty seamless stitch line, and there are times where you get that kind of wobbly, slightly watery effect where it's trying to stitch the two things together. Look, it's arguably inevitable with this tech, but it's not ideal. Okay, let's get to the real talk section. And this is stuff that's coming from me personally in my use. And especially coming from a place where, look, I'm not affiliated, I'm not biased, I'm not sponsored, I paid for this, this hasn't been sent to me, this is mine. And so this is just real talk from your boy CaiLifer. I'm just an ordinary dude that loves the novelty of being able to record in 360 from time to time. Recording in 360 is awesome because unlike with the traditional camera, you don't have to worry about framing a subject because it's filming everything everywhere all at once. And recording in 360 can ultimately suck because it's recording everything everywhere all at once. Now, what I mean by that is that the thing that people don't tell you about is that the editing, if you're doing it manually, takes a hell of a lot of time. Think about it. When you're using a traditional action camera or your phone, or even right now I'm using my Sony a7 IV for this video, you're pointing your camera at what you want to record. So the actual edit is a lot more straightforward. In 360, you're having to choose what you want in your video in post, almost literally on a frame by frame basis. And this takes way more time. And I think this is a really important thing to mention because as with a lot of camera-based creations, the power of the technology and the ideas you have in your head are both always super, super exciting, but ultimately you'll always have the slog and effort that comes with the post-production element. However, the AI reframing that I mentioned earlier, which is built into the software, is pretty damn good. It even gives you two options of AI edit. Now, in this video, full link in the corner and description, I used AI reframing on the entire video, purposefully knowing that I'd be using this footage and referencing it in this review. Now, it's not perfect, and it certainly has moments where it doesn't capture what I feel like is the most important part of the scene, but I feel like for most people, it'll do a really good job of taking a lot of the effort and faff out of the editing process. Now with my Insta360 X3, every single video I've ever made with that has been doing keyframe by keyframe, moving the camera, changing what's being framed, keyframe, and doing it all manually. But listen, every single bit of footage that you've seen in this review has been edited with the AI reframing tool. Could it have been better if I'd spooled through all the footage manually instead of my own keyframes? Quite possibly, yes. But would that have taken my motivation away from wanting to film any of that content in the first place? Absolutely 100%. Real talk, point 2. Low light is now absolutely awesome and it's only going to improve. Now, the price point for these things, as I've mentioned, is also increasing, and that does genuinely suck. But we're at least getting genuine advancements in the tech in this space now. On the other hand, even though I love the fact that low light tech is improving, the truth is that for the majority of us, it's also utterly irrelevant. How many people need to film 360 action cam footage in low light? And if you answer, excuse me, I do, then that's not my point. My point is that the answer is going to be a very small minority. Now, I know that I sit in the camp of loving knowing that I have the capability to film in low light, even if it's not regularly necessary whatsoever. But as I mentioned earlier, I do think it's a genuine reason for picking up the X5 over the X4. Now, third real talk point, and I mentioned this in my quick downside bullet points, is that this thing gets hot. Now, you've got to remember that cameras like this, pretty much all action cameras, still need to have that constant airflow for cooling, and it shows with the X5. And I had a moment where I was exporting not even 8K but 5.7K footage from it to my phone, and I actually needed to have my my massive air conditioning unit blowing cold air directly onto it so it wouldn't shut off, because it shut off 3 times in a row whilst I was trying to export a fairly lengthy file. And final real talk, going back to ease of use, the X5 pairs and plays very nicely with your phone. As I say, reframing, edits, filters, transitions, the Insta360 app has come a long way, and it's definitely the way to make the editing process slick and fun. However, and it is a massive however, you cannot export in anything greater than 4K 60 FPS using the app, which means no 5.7K and absolutely no 8K export to your phone. You have to use the desktop app for that. And again, this is something that has to be considered for your use case. But one thing I don't like is the fact that I can't be done with a quick 8K edit via my phone, because ultimately I'll have to use the desktop app for the export. And I just don't like that. I don't like it. Like I said, I don't want to have an increasing amount of barriers between having an idea, being able to film the idea, and then having that footage ready to use. And I feel like it adds that barrier. The app is awesome for editing, it's really powerful, but you're sort of left with that, well, what's the point in being able to film in 8K if I can go through this whole process? And remember, that might include doing manual keyframing and loads of chopping up and editing and splicing. And then you get to the export and it's like, you can only export in 4K. I mean, literally half the resolution that you filmed in. So yeah, to get the most out of that juicy 8K footage, you're gonna have to do your editing and your export in the app on a desktop computer or laptop. So the big $1 million question, who is this for? It's kind of obvious, but if you're a content creator, if you're an adventurer, or you're just someone who wants cinematic level footage from a camera that fits not just in your bag, but even just in your pocket, then the X5 is genuinely a monster. If you've got an X4 and you mostly shoot in daylight, I wouldn't upgrade. I wouldn't bother, because unless, like I say, you need that low light capability, which is awesome, then I don't think you're going to need that upgrade. If you're coming from an X3 or that kind of era of camera, it's a very, very good upgrade. But listen, this is easily the most powerful 360 camera I've used. And until GoPro proves otherwise, then for me, the X5 is sitting on the throne. Right, that'll do for another video. Thank you so much for watching. If this has helped you out, then please do drop a like. And if you've got any questions about how it handles specific scenarios, then leave a comment, because I always reply to comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tech, gadgets, and CaiLifer content. And until the next video, take care, much love, and peace out.